Assalamu alaikum. Myself Ahkam Ansari. Student, I am back again with yet another video lecture of information technology. We are in the first chapter of information technology, that is advanced web designing, in which we are learning CSS, that is cascading style sheet. In our previous lectures we have seen n number of the properties and values of CSS. In today's lecture, inshallah, we will learn a new topic in CSS, that is grouping of selectors. As we know, selectors are nothing but HTML elements. Okay, means we have an HTML page in which we have collection or n number of the HTML elements or HTML tags, and by using CSS we perform or we add some cascading or some CSS, so it will change the look and feel of our web page. So grouping of selector means if we have n number of the HTML elements in which we want to perform the same effect or same CSS or same style, we can group them in one CSS, or we can apply them CSS as a group. Okay, so we will see how we can group n number of the HTML elements or selectors in one, and we can apply CSS in all the HTML selector, and you can see the effect and feel of a web page could be very attractive or interactive. Okay, so why the basic thing regarding grouping of selector is it will reduce the coding. Means, for example, if you have 4 HTML elements, okay, 4 HTML tags, and you want to perform the same effect or same CSS, means you have to write the same coding again and again. Means if you have 4 elements, so you have to write 4 times, but by using grouping of selector it will minimize or it will save your time. Means it will minimize means you can reduce the code. Instead of writing 4 lines of code, you can write in 1 line of code. Okay, so we will see what is grouping and how we perform these things, but let's have a look what is the definition and what is the meaning of grouping of selectors. Okay, so this is the simplest definition or meaning of grouping of selector. Just read it. The CSS grouping selector is used to select. What is the purpose of grouping of selector? This is the purpose, means is used to select multiple elements. Grouping means what? We are going to combine, we are going to group together n number of the elements or multiple elements. What are the elements? Elements are nothing but HTML tags or elements. Okay, so the grouping selector is used to select multiple elements and style them together. Okay, what is mean by style them together? Means apply CSS in all the HTML elements which are in one group. Okay, first we have to make a group, then we will apply some CSS. So this CSS will be applied on all the members of this group or this group elements. Okay, then what is the benefit of doing this? And in earlier of this lecture, starting of this lecture, I told you that it will reduce your time or it will reduce your coding. Okay, so this reduces the code and extra effort to declare common style for each elements. Means if you have 10 elements, 5 elements, 100 elements, HTML elements, and you want to perform same effect, same style, so instead of writing code and again, or instead of writing code for individual elements, you can group them and you can use grouping of selector to apply the same effect in one write or in one code or in one line of code. So how we apply means simply we have to write selector in one line or in a group, but the selectors are separated by using this comma. Okay, means how to write? First you have to write one selector, then give comma, second selector, third selector, fourth selector. Means whatever selector you want to add in that particular group you can add, but you have to separate it by using comma symbol. Okay, let me show you how you will perform by using an example. See, for example, you have an element called h1. So if you want to apply some CSS in h1 elements, so for example, these are the two properties of CSS. The first one is a background color, means you want to apply background color as a blue and you want to apply text color as a red. So this property will apply and it will change your background color to blue, and it will change your text color as a red. So it will apply on H1. Okay, so it will find H1 elements on your HTML page and will apply this CSS. Again, you have declared second CSS, that is the H2, means this property will apply on H2. So it will apply, it will change your second level of heading. And in the same way, we have third element, that is the P tag. Again, you have some properties and values. It will apply on your paragraph tag. These are the three different HTML elements, or these elements are called as CSS selectors. Okay, so if you notice that the property assigned to this element and property assigned to this element, in the same way the property assigned to paragraph elements or this selector are same. Means in this you are using background color, background color, background color. Okay, and you are also assigned the value as blue, blue and blue. And the second property that you are assigning to H1, that is a color red, means you want to apply same property to different HTML selector or HTML tag, or you can say simply CSS selector. So instead of writing code again and again, means you are writing this 2 line of code for H1, again you are writing for this 2 line of code H2 for H2, and for paragraph you are writing the same code. So instead of writing 6 or 8 line of code, if you count 1, 2, 3, 4 line for each selector, okay, so you are writing 12 line. But you can reduce to write your output by grouping like this. Okay, so this is the real example of doing grouping of selector. Here you just group H1, H2 and paragraph tag. Means these H1, H2 and paragraph tag. And again there is a no sequence. You can write any HTML tags first and last. There is not an issue. You can write. But the thing is that you have to write this comma. You have to separate these HTML elements by using this comma. If you won't write this, it will not consider as a members. Okay, and you will not get proper output. So you can write n number of the HTML elements or CSS selector in this format. Then you have to apply this property. So this property will apply all the group member of this selector. Are you getting my point? I will show you in coding. So if you don't worry if you are not getting, but I think it's one of the simplest program. Grouping of selector means this thing we have done. If you want to apply H1, this thing we have done, this thing we are now, instead of writing 12 line of code, I am writing inside the 4 line of code. Means the same property is repeated, but instead of writing one selector, I am adding more than one selector. So it become a group, or I am going to grouping the selector by using this format. This format or this style or is called as a grouping of selector. So let's have a look in our coding. I am going to create a simple HTML page in which I will take this thing. Okay, if possible I can copy all these things and I will show you how it will work to save your time. Okay, so right now I am going to create a simple HTML page. In that I will take a number of the HTML tags, then I will apply CSS. First I will show you in this format, then I will group them into one and I will show you in this format. Then you will get how it is easy and how it's very time saving for you. Okay, means you don't have to write this line of code again and again. So if there is a question come in your mind, sir, in last lecture we have seen star or asterisk or universal selector. Okay, are you getting my point? There might be a question from your side. That's in our previous lecture we have seen universal selector, in which we use asterisk or star symbol to assign same effect to whole of HTML elements or CSS selector in a page. So why we are using grouping? So the drawback or the difference between grouping of selector and universal selector is, by using universal selector you can assign or you can make changes to whole page, but by using grouping of selector you can assign CSS on your choice. Okay, if you have hundreds of HTML elements and you want to apply CSS only on 4 member or 4 selector, so you can group them into 4, into 5, into 6. Okay, so grouping means you can choose on the basis of your requirement, on the basis of your choice. But if you are using universal selector as an asterisk, so there is no choice, it will apply on all. Okay, so let's have a look on our coding part. So I am moving toward my desktop. This is my desktop. I am going to search my notepad application. Okay, so I will simply write notepad. Now this is my program. I am going to write program inside the HTML5. The first line will be doc type. Okay, what is doc type? That is a HTML. This line shows that I am writing in HTML version 5. Then simply my code is going to start here from HTML. The first tag will be HTML. Okay, then the last tag will be HTML. Okay, between these two tags I will add another tag like head tag on top, then closing head tag on below of that. After that, one of the most important tag of the HTML page, that is a body tag. Whatever you write inside that, it will display on your page. So I have written these basic HTML tag which is required to create any HTML page. Now I will simply add some HTML tags, that is basic. I will write h1, then I will close h1. Okay, now inside that I am going to write this is first heading. Okay, now to save your time I will just copy it, Control C, then I will just press enter, Control V. Instead of h1 now I am going to use h2. Okay, then h2, and instead of this content first I will change to second. Again I will copy it, Control C, Control V. Now I will take as a 3 h3 and closing h3. Then instead of second I will take third. Okay, then I will take one more, Control V, and I will take 4. We have up to h6, but I will take up to 4. Okay, so instead of second I will take fourth. Okay, now I will take one more tag, that is a paragraph tag. So I will take p tag and closing p tag, in which I will write this is paragraph okay, so I will save this. So it will ask the first time where you want to save. I will say currently it's saving on my computer desktop. I will say no issue, save it. So I will name as grouping.html. Okay, so I will save you. Then it will, I can search it on my desktop, so I will find grouping of HTML. This is my current file which I have just created. I will just double click on to run program. Now you can clearly say the effect of h1 is little larger. Okay, then h2 is little smaller than h1, then h3 is little smaller than h2, and h4 is little smaller than h3. So we have up to h6. The last one is your paragraph tag, your p tag. Now this is your simple HTML page. If I zoom, you can see the change or see the difference. It's also in zoom in mode. Okay, now these are the your simple HTML. Now you want to apply CSS. If I use my older method I am using means if I don't know what is grouping. So if I say I want to apply the same effect on h1 h2, not h1 h2, on h2 h3 and p, I want to apply some effect, same effect on h2 h3 and paragraph tag. So you will say, sir, simply go in head tag, add style tag because you want to add style. So I will add one style tag and closing style tag. Then inside that I will write all the CSS property. For example, I want to apply on h2, so my selector is h2 over here. So I will write h2, then I will write double opening and closing bracket, then I will apply property. For example, background color. Okay, background color. For example, I want to assign background color as a blue. Okay, so if you notice that when I save the file, when I flip back to my browser, refresh the file, so we'll notice I have assigned on which HTML, which selector, H2 selector. So this is the second heading. H2, what is this? This is the second heading. So it will apply on this line. Okay, when I refresh, you will notice that it is applying on the second heading. So you will get background color as a blue. Now I want to add one more property. For example, color I will add yellow. Okay, then semicolon. Now I have applied two property. One is a background color and one is a text color. That is a forecolor. Okay, so I will save it. Then I will back to my browser, refresh. Now you will see the text color is yellow now. Okay, now you want to apply same CSS on different tag. For example, you want to apply the same effect on H4. So you will go and you will copy it. Okay, you will copy the same code, Control C, and you will just paste it. Instead of writing H2, you will write H4. Means you want to apply the same effect on the second selector, that is the H4. So this is the fourth heading, so it will apply on H4. When you save the file, flip back to your browser. Now on this it will perform the same effect. Okay, let's refresh. Now it's the same effect. In the same way, if you want to perform same effect on paragraph tag, you will just come and copy it and paste it, and instead of writing H2, you can add paragraph tag. That is a P tag. So you have P tag, this is the paragraph. Now the same effect you will apply on paragraph tag. Okay, so means you have applied on H2 and H4 and paragraph tag. So right now we have not done grouping. Now I am going to apply grouping of selector. Means if I want to apply the same effect on different HTML elements or CSS selector, HTML elements are also called as a CSS selector in CSS. Why I am using HTML elements sometimes and why I am using CSS selector sometimes? Because I am working, or we are working on both the language at the same time. That's why sometimes I use as a HTML elements and sometimes I call it as a CSS selector. Both are the same, but if I say CSS selector, means I am talking about CSS. If I say HTML elements, I am talking about HTML. Okay, so now I am going to group. Means if you want to apply same H2, H4 and paragraph, I have applied. Now these things we can achieve by using grouping of selector. So instead of writing this line of code, I just add comma H4, okay, and comma P, and I will remove rest of the code. Means these two line of code I will remove, and I will save it. Now if I change to color as a red to show you change. Okay, so when I click on save, now I am applying on H2, H4 and a paragraph tag. Now my background color is still blue and my text color is red. So H2, that is this second heading, H4, that is the fourth heading, and paragraph tag I have applied and I have grouped. Now see the effect. Currently it's because of our earlier. Let me refresh the page. Now refresh. See the text color has been changed. Okay, text color has been changed to, initially it was yellow, now it has changed to red, and H4 and paragraph tag. Okay, now if you want to use some other selector, like if you want to add H3 also, so just give one more comma and give H3. Okay, now it will apply on H2, H3, H4 and paragraph. Only H1 is remaining. Okay, refresh, it will apply on this one too. Okay, now these are grouped together. Okay, so this is called as a grouping of selector. Okay, if you want to remove H2, and instead of H2 if you want to add H1, just write H1 and click on save. Now you can get your expected output. So style has been removed from this H2 and it applied on H1. But in case if you use star or universal selector, it will apply on whole page. Okay student, getting? I don't think it was difficult, but you have to practice. It's very important and it's very interesting. If you learn CSS, it is very useful in your future. Means you can design your website in a very attractive way. So that's for today. Keep watching, keep learning. Thank you very much for listening my videos. And if you have any query related to this video or anything which we have learned in our previous lecture, feel free to post your comment. Inshallah, I will try to answer your question. Thank you. Allah Hafiz.